Zweig Group invites all AEC industry leaders to the 2024 AEC Small Business and Entrepreneurship Forum, the premier event for small firms in the AEC sector. Experience innovative strategies and insights on May 21st, crafted by Zweig Group's industry experts. Engage in keynotes and interactive sessions focused on recruitment, retention, and business growth. Join Zweig Group for this unique networking opportunity and take your business to new heights. Secure your spot today and be part of the AEC industry's future. Visit zweiggroup.com for more information. The Zweig Group team looks forward to welcoming you.
Welcome to the Zweig Letter Podcast, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting guru Mark Zweig and his team of experts straight talk in your ear. Mark has more than 3 decades of experience helping AEP and environmental firms thrive and grow in any market. These podcasts deliver great interviews with industry leaders and Zweig Group's invaluable research, leadership, management, marketing, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter Podcasts let you develop personally and professionally, wherever you are.
Hey folks, and thank you for listening to another episode of the Zweig Letter Podcast. I am here today with none other than Mark Zweig himself, chairman of Zweig Group. Mark, it's so exciting to have you here. And
that makes it sound like it's the Chrysler Corporation.
It does. It does.
I'm Lee Iacocca. I make a good car.
The K car.
If you want a vinyl top and wire wheel covers on it, we'll sell it to you as an Imperial.
Right. So, hey, this is what you get on this podcast. We're able to. I love when I get Mark on because we can just kind of have some fun and go at it. But no, it's always great to have you on the podcast. I know you're busy with your schedule, and so any chance that I can get to pull you in for a simple conversation, I really appreciate it. One of the things that we like to do, we used to just have Mark read his editorials from the Zweig Letter, but that was kind of corny. So
kind of boring.
It was kind of boring, yeah. But you were a trooper though, and you endured for quite some time. But then we stumbled upon something a little bit better, which was just to have a conversation. And so today we are going to talk a little bit about this whole flurry of M&A activity. You know, a couple of years ago, we brought on an outstanding young lady that is just probably, I mean, she's a business savant in her own right and just really super talented. That's Jamie Claire Kaiser. She is the director of consulting here at Zweig Group, and she's basically taken over the company in the last few years. And everybody has had to just kind of move out of the way. She's created a wake of opportunity with her energy that is second to none. And so I know Mark is certainly glad to have her on the team because she has just been a lightning rod for just opportunity. And so we're really excited to talk a little bit about M&A activity in the design industry right now and just kind of what Mark sees in the tea leaves for 2018 and what's happening. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that. So.
I'm looking at my tea now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's great to be here with a fantastic interviewer like Randy. That's what makes it so much fun.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's true. M&A, I don't know. What can I say about it? It's just increasing. There's more and more activity every day. There are more opportunities to sell. There are more buyers in the marketplace. There are more sellers in the marketplace. It's not. I think people have finally realized that it's not like I'm throwing the towel in. I'm going to sell the company. Maybe the best growth strategy you have is to sell the company.
Yeah, become
part of something bigger.
Yeah,
something that has more resources. Something that offers more opportunities to your employees. I mean, you know, that's what it ultimately comes down to. If you're going to succeed, it's got to do those things. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and I don't see any of it slowing down. I think truthfully, and I've said this for years, I think AE firms are probably undervalued. If you look at a lot of other consulting firms, some of them sell for as much as 2 times revenue.
Right.
That almost never happens in this business. It has happened, but it doesn't happen often. The average firm today is worth, you start out at, we used to say 50% of revenue. Now I'm going to say you start about 65, 70% of revenue.
Of revenue, yeah.
But basically, I think these companies are undervalued. If you look at their return on equity and invested capital, it's very, very high. It doesn't take that much money, and to generate a significant return. You can finance these purchases if you're somebody that's out there and wants to grow through acquisition. There's financing opportunities, not just with traditional lenders and other mezzanine lenders and other angel investor types that are out there, but just the sellers. The sellers have to provide you with financing in almost every case of some sort. Rarely does anybody just write a check for the whole thing. A lot of times a good portion of it is contingent on their performance.
Yeah.
So if they don't perform, you don't pay as much. So yeah, it's not going to change. It's the way things are going to be. The bigger firms, certainly, at a certain level, big clients want to deal with big companies.
Yeah.
They have more people. They have more financial strength. If you're going to do mega projects, you can't do them as a small firm. And of course, that's what everybody wants to do in this business is mega projects.
Right.
They didn't get out of school and go, oh gosh, I can't wait to design a 5-lot subdivision.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome if we did a 3,000 square foot tilt wall industrial building? Gosh, that'd be exciting. No, nobody's saying that.
Right.
They want to do bigger and bigger projects. It requires a bigger and bigger firm.
And you bring up some good points. The thing I want to go back to just in terms of just this whole process of M&A and the courting process, what would you say to firms out there that are receiving letter after letter after letter inquiring about whether or not they're open to selling? And, what would be your response to those firms that kind of get those and they treat them as if they're just, this is just more background noise that I need to I got to rise above this and not worry about it?
Well, I think, you got, you'd be crazy to just say no.
Right.
But you can't say yes to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to sort of judge those things. Are they from business brokers who are out fishing, trying to get companies to sign up with them as sellers based on creating, quote, opportunities that they're, to be acquired from other companies? That does happen. There are some unscrupulous, not ethical business brokers that basically create a fake opportunity to get sellers to list with them.
Right.
But, so you got to look at those. But I mean, if it's a real company and it's a seemingly legitimate thing, it doesn't take long to discern that. Maybe a 5-minute email in response could determine that.
Right.
But you should look at them. You can't say no. You never know what this, I wouldn't just rule it out. There are a lot of companies that do. They just no, we will pursue a course of internal transition. That's the way it was done before us. We'll sell the stock at book value to the new partners coming up.
Yeah.
It's, and they're just locked into that and they're just not even going to consider anything else.
Right. I guess it's good never to say never because you just don't know what could happen. And everybody's got a price. So
never say never.
Yeah, everybody has a price. Tell me in terms of, and I think of as I'm thinking about this question, I'm just thinking about somebody like an Ozzie Nelson from Nelson. And just the success that they've had. He started out, he basically took over his dad's firm. And
That's right.
They were small.
Sure, 20 people.
Yeah, really small. And now they're bordering on 1,000 people with 30 offices around the world. And their growth
says he's going to do $300 million in 2018.
That's my understanding. But I just, when I tell the story about him and of course he's been on this podcast before and he has shared a great story. He talks about the Blue Ocean strategy and kind of the way that he has approached offering different service lines within his business. He went from one office and one line of business to multiple offices and 6 lines of business. And so I thought it was really interesting to see that. But, what do you say to someone that has those kinds of aspirations to grow and to grow through acquisition the way that Ozzie Nelson did? Not that he's going to, he certainly is setting a standard, but he's not going to be the last person to do that. But what would your thoughts be about that?
I don't know. What do I say to them? I say it's possible. You can do it if you want to do it. It's not, if you want to make this happen, you could do it.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
You got to be smart. You got to get the right team together. You got to get the right advisors on board. But if that's what you really want to do, you can make it happen.
Yeah. I should mention that Ozzie's background is business. I mean,
right.
His background is he's not a designer,
right?
And I think that needs to be said.
It's unusual though that somebody with a business background, non-design, can lead and run one of these companies.
Right.
I think he's an exception because he's exceptional, and it was in his family's blood.
Right.
But most of the time, a business person only who doesn't have a connection with this business on a more visceral level,
right,
is probably doomed to fail.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it doesn't mean you got to be a designer, but you better have a real passion for it. Maybe even have some knowledge and talent for it.
Yeah.
You got to be able to recognize what's good and what's bad.
Ozzie,
can't be divorced from it.
Ozzie was a perfect storm of opportunity. So
he's an ambitious guy, but he's a nice guy. He keeps his head on straight.
He is a very nice guy, and he wears some fancy socks too. So
that's what he's a fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
And every time I get on the phone with him or whatever, we just laugh most of the time. I'd say about half the time.
Well,
it's a good attitude to have.
Yeah. And he came and really knocked our socks off, no pun intended, for like literally an hour at the Hot Firm event in Seattle. And people were really blown away by what he had to share during our M&A breakout session that we had. And so, it's that kind of information and experience that I think is important. And certainly it's always good to talk with somebody about, what they could expect going through the M&A process. Because I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what actually happens during the process. Yeah,
I think people think it's a lot riskier than it is. And there's so many different ways to mitigate that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in real estate, though. Yeah. I mean, I buy a lot of real estate. You know that.
Yep.
And I buy it, and I can make a decision faster than anybody else. You know why? I can even buy properties I never even see.
Yeah.
Because I have a really good real estate agent. Okay. And we're going to have a contract that lets us get out of it if the due diligence discovers something that we need to get out because of.
Yeah.
Buying firms is exactly the same way. You don't have to fart around endlessly before you can make an offer to somebody. That's one of the greatest mistakes the neophytes do. They think everything's got to be perfect. I need to know everything about everybody who works there. We can all sing Kumbaya together, drink Kool-Aid, have 72 meetings, whatever, before we ever get to the money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Get the money agreed to. If it's not going to work, nothing's going to work.
Right.
Okay. You got to take some shots across the bow. Do I know everything? No, I don't know everything. Do I know everything about all their jobs? No, I don't know everything about all their jobs. Do I know everything about all their clients? No, I don't know everything about all their clients. Do I know everything about all their people? No, I don't know everything about all their people.
Right.
I can still make an offer. I can still nail this deal down. I might even be able to close it and still have the back door out that's needed to protect me in case things aren't what they were purported to be.
Right.
That's when you figure that out, you're going to be a hell of a lot more successful than somebody who thinks everything's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
You see it all the time. It's like, well, we can't buy anybody because our own firm's got so many problems. We need to focus on them before we buy anybody else. That's the other thing that you hear a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's going to be this perfect scenario or situation where it's the right time to buy. So I always remember the story you tell of Jerry Allen, one of your mentors, used to run Carter and Burgess, and you would always tell this story about how easy it was for him to navigate the waters of M&A activity when you would simply call him and say, hey, I've got this firm. And the next thing you'd know, a couple of days later, he'd call you back and say, hey, I flew up there and met with so-and-so, and I really like them, and we've already had a handshake, and we're moving forward with due diligence. And it would happen that quickly. And you were never surprised because he was a person of action, and that he wouldn't allow all of the little fine print and details to get in the way of putting a deal together.
Exactly.
So, and
you got to be decisive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways to this M&A, the M&A process, is just being decisive. And more importantly, when you are ready to come to the table and do a deal, you need to have people around you. You need to have consultants that can give you good advice, that can help you navigate the waters, that can maybe even get your wife out of the equation because she is muddying the waters of a transaction unnecessarily. You know, I mean, these things happen. I mean, these M&A transactions are living, breathing deals, and you're dealing with people, you're dealing with personalities. And a lot of times, sometimes you need a third party to come in and provide some, indispensable advice that can keep you on track. Otherwise, you can run the car off the road, even with the best of intentions.
Yep.
So
I don't disagree.
Yeah. So, but it's just, those are just some of the big takeaways from the M&A strategy that is out there right now in the design industry. And I mean, do you think this consolidation that we're seeing as we close out, do you think it's good or bad for the industry?
Do I think it's good or bad? I think it's good. I think it's good because if people figure out that these businesses are good businesses, they'll invest more money in them. And then they'll have more resources so they can really do things better than companies that are undercapitalized.
Right.
When you got more money, you can invest in R&D, you can create better systems, you can hire better people, you can create a better work environment. I think that if you can attract capital in an industry, that bodes well for its future.
Right.
So it's got to be good.
Yeah.
It's got to be good. They've got resources that we didn't used to have. And people make more money in this business than they used to make.
Yeah.
When I first got into it, it was almost like, well, you got to take a vow of poverty or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not joining the priesthood here.
Right.
Yeah. But at a 2.5 multiplier, nobody seemed to make any money. I mean, it was just sort of the expectation.
Yeah. People have figured out that you can do well in this business. If you're good at something, it's very valuable. Yeah. We should do well. Absolutely. A workman is worthy of his wages. So, that's that. A really good workman is worth really even more. Worth their wages. Exactly. If you know any good carpenters, by the way, we need them. It's amazing. People don't even realize a good carpenter in Fayetteville, Arkansas can make $120,000 a year right now. Without batting an eye. Now think about that. Yeah. That's you may not even gotten past 8th grade. Nope. But they're so short. The supply. That's amazing. Just like it is in a lot of things, you know. Mechanical engineers in this business, hard to find. I was just talking with one of my friends this morning about that. And, the reason is in our business, it's just not, there's no glamour in it. Yeah. Working for high tech, aerospace, whatever, so much sexier, than HVAC. I know, but it's so valuable. Yeah, I mean, and these guys nowadays, these guys are retiring younger and younger because they've those that do get into the business are able to get in and make a name for themselves and build it up, and then they sell like one of your people did and sold to a bigger firm, and they're able to kind of cash in and move on. And so, I tell young people nowadays, even those coming out of high school, why saddle yourself with a bunch of student loan debt, when you might be able to go out and be a sheet metal worker? In the Boston area, they're paying these kids like $50 and $60 an hour. I know. It's crazy. Without a college degree. They're making way more than kids that are graduating at Harvard. So, it's just, so yeah, there's all kinds of opportunities out there, but, But yeah, we could go on and on for that. So anyway, there is a ton of M&A information in the Zweig letter. I really want to encourage everybody that's listening to this podcast to check out the Zweig letter. Again, it is now free. You can visit zweiggroup.com. Right at the bottom of the main page, you can just punch up the Zweig letter and put your email address in there and get a digital copy every week. It runs 48 weeks a year. The Zweig letter has probably been the longest running newsletter in the design industry, although I don't know that as a fact, but I'm just going to call it so. It's been running since 92, so that's a pretty long time. Great indispensable information that can help you run your firm more efficiently, can help you do your job better. And we certainly are here as a resource for anything that you need, whether it's M&A, whether it's ownership transition, strategic planning, valuation, executive search. It doesn't matter. Surveys, any type of information that you need. Zweig Group is here to provide that for you. And so we thank you again for listening to the Zweig Letter podcast. Mark, thanks so much for joining us and taking some time out of your schedule to just share your vast knowledge with the audience.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Listen, folks, I'm Randy Wilburn.
I'm Mark Zweig.
And you've been listening to another episode of the
Zweig Letter podcast.
Right. We like doing that together. Anyway, listen, we hope you guys enjoy yourselves and make it a great week. And we'll look forward to connecting with you next week with another great episode of the Zweig Letter podcast. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to this Zweig Letter podcast episode. If you want more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about M&A, strategic planning, HR, and marketing your firm, subscribe now to the digital version of the Zweig Letter free of charge. Just visit thezweigletter.com/subscribe and leave your email address. Your free subscription will begin immediately.